Tell me what you see when you look at me. Do you see another brother lost in these streets looking for his soul?
Trying to find my soul.
Or do you see another brother searching for lost souls in these streets? A street soldier.
Street soldier.
Here to help you get that chip off your shoulder, warm your colder days and sober your drunken ways, and find a way to help you get over these hurdles placed in our path. And this is not meant to amuse you. This is for all those who have questions but are afraid to ask.
I won't be afraid. I won't be afraid. No. When times get hard, you lose your way. Open your mind and hear what I say.
This is a message for the hard and the soft. To those who tune in weekly and to those who keep an eye out for 8 p.m. on Sundays and turn their radios off. The truth hurts. The cloth has been pulled. We're walking around half dead. Use this show as your IV. Alive and free is a new movement. We've achieved self-destruction. A street soldier promotes self-improvement.
Streets couldn't be no colder, so I gotta be a soldier. It shouldn't be this hard for me. Even when it seems so hopeless, I gotta keep my focus. I'm glad to be alive and free, yeah. Streets couldn't be no colder, so I gotta be a soldier. It shouldn't be this hard for me. Even when it seems so hopeless, I gotta keep my focus. I'm glad to be alive and free, yeah.
This is different because we're on Zoom, but you know, it's the same thing. And it's just, this whole thing is just incredible to me that here we are 28 years later, still doing this special show that I don't think is like any other. There's actually most of you don't know this, but there's actually a Street Soldiers in New York. And they started after us, but we started first. And they may still be on the air, and people would come be in the Bay Area and then leave and go back there. And they said, man, that ain't Street Soldiers. What's this thing? Street Soldiers? I thought it ain't like that. It's the same thing. But, you know, same name, different thing. But I don't think there's ever been anywhere a show like this. And you have to, the big thing about the show, and let me just say right now, thank you so much to KMEL. You know, they've been the flagship for this thing, you know, since, well, the first show was in 1991, but we went on permanently in 1992 for doing this. And the whole concept was crazy because it was a talk show on a music station. It was a talk show, and the only talk you have, you know, are the, you know, the DJs and, you know, the on-air personalities. And here we came and started this talk thing. And it was very different talk. It was about community issues. I tried to track down our original guy, but I'm gonna get him one of these days. Maybe when we get back in the studio, I'll have him on. But he did a show called The Love Zone back then in oh gosh, just saying that, it means it's the 20th century, huh? Back in 1991. And real quick thing, you know, he did this and he actually got a call from Hammer, MC Hammer, and Hammer wanted to promote his album. And he said, okay. And he said, but I don't want to, you know, let's don't do love tonight. Let's talk to the people about what's going on in the community. And so they agreed to it. But they wanted to have, you know, anyway, so they did. He didn't talk about love, and he opened it up and said, what's going on in your home, what's going on in the neighborhood. And unbeknownst to the DJ at that time, the on-air personality, Kevin Nash, all these people started calling in with, man, I'm hurting, this is going this. And, you know, that was right. Again, we didn't know how bad the drugs things was back then, or just starting, or had started, but it was really impacting people's lives. Yeah, so, you know, Hammer came and he said, buy my album. And then he left. And they did not know what to do with all of this. They had no referral numbers, no calls. So they did the show once again. They brought it back. And it was, I remember very clearly, it was the Friday after Thanksgiving in 1991. And they asked me to be part of the show. There was a couple other folks. John Now, I remember, was one of them. And they said, well, you work with young people at Omega, so why don't you come on in? And the lines opened up, and I just started basically, and is what I've done pretty much ever since, told the people on the air what I was telling the kids at Omega Boys Club. Same stuff, no different. I just had, other people to listen. And they liked it. I remember at the time they said, you were the perfect person. So in the spring of 92, they said, we're doing it permanently Monday night, and you will be the host. And at that time I brought on I'm gonna talk about my co-host. My co-host was Miss Norris, Margaret Norris, now Dr. Margaret Norris was my co-host. And that's when it started. And here it is, 28 years later, we are still doing this. It has been just incredible. So I got 3 pages of notes about the stuff we have, all the milestones we've been through, all the shows we've done, but we'll get to that. And that'll be filler stuff. But I want to thank everybody for joining in, everybody on there tonight, and probably everybody who's in the chat room has listened to the show, been on the show. I'm sorry. Okay. Oh God, Jermaine says, Pops, I'm sorry, I can't find it again. Can you send it to me again? How can I send it to you again when I'm on the phone? I'm on the show. Why do people do this to me? All right, anyway, I'm gonna try while people are talking. So I see who we got. We got GBiz. Gary, thank you for being with us tonight. We got Heather Starnes, Logwood, thank you for being with us tonight. We got Khalid Elahi, thank you for being with us tonight. We got Anne-Marie Garlington, thank you for being with us tonight. We got Kino Carson, thank you, Kino. I think that's Marquex Boynton, is that right? Thank you, Marcus.
Yes.
Huh?
Yes, that's Marcus.
Oh, okay. Anybody I can't see, because I can't see anybody who's there I can't see?
Yes, we have Leilani.
Ah, there she is. Leilani Ching.
And we have Khalid Elahi.
Yeah, I say Khalid.
I'm going to try. I just want to say Khalid's name again.
I'm going to try and get Jermaine because he can't find it. And I have one others, but he isn't feeling well. So thank all of you for being with. I'm gonna just go as I see. I see Heather. Just what do you want to say about Street Soldiers, the show? just an opening thing, and we got plenty to cover. But
there's a lot. But I can remember when I was at Lowell Middle School, we would listen to your radio show, and then I would type out the entire transcript and give it out to all my teachers, and then they would teach it. But it took me, I would be hiding in the office trying to like play and replay every, then Dr. Marshall said this. So, man, I don't know, that was like life-giving information to West Oakland at the time, for sure.
I want you to know, Heather, I still have those lessons.
Do you?
Yes, I do. The problem is I don't have we had it on cassette tape.
That's right. We would play them. That's right. And that's right.
But I still have them in my computer. I have absolutely had those lessons that we would transcribe and then use in the classrooms at Lowell Middle School in West Oakland. That's a good opening piece. All right. Thank you. Next, I see Khalid Elahi.
You need to unmute yourself, Khalid.
Bingo. We good?
You're good.
There we go. Hey, thank you for having me on. When I think of the show, I just think of something that was brand new, enlightening, something that became popular. Like, because I started listening to the show in 1998, while I was locked up in prison. But no, I take that back. 1992.
1990. Yeah.
Yeah, when it used to come down in LA. And when I heard it, it was just like, wow, man, I feel sorry for you, because I said, this dude is trying. And I was a youngin' then. So I was like, hey, nowhere in the world he could stop me. And I would just feel sorry for you, but I listened. And when you keep giving your mind to something, that lets you, you will become it. And that's what I learned, because I was totally against street soldiers. I was like, this is never gonna work. And now I'm an ambassador with it. Yeah, isn't that something? And that's my first impression about it, because it came on every week, and it was just like, it started making me just, I got mesmerized with it. I started seeing other people that was on there. It started helping me change, because I started seeing other brothers that was had a problem with violence start to change, and it started becoming powerful to me. So I don't want to, because I know we got a lot of other time to go with it, but I was just locked up when I first heard it, and it was just like, wow, what is this? Who is this brother? You know?
Yeah, I understand that, because I was saying some crazy stuff, people.
You was very aggressive. You didn't let nobody slide with nothing. You challenged everything. Changed a lot. You still deep with it, but oh my God, boy, you was just like, I said, oh no, nah, who is he? What is he doing? But you was right. You was just what we needed.
Thank you, Lid. And Marie, your opening statement. And
my opening statement, man.
You're out of town, so thank you for joining us, because I know it's late for you.
Oh, no worries, no worries. When you say the Love Zone and Kevin Nash, that takes me way back.
Mm-hmm.
It was really a pivotal moment for me. Just kind of running into you guys, right? I probably called in because I was like 14 and I wanted to be on the air, and it ended up really shaping me and just letting me know that people were there that actually cared. And so I would just say my opening statement is, it was a pivotal event in my life.
Okay, we'll get into your story more, but thank you. Leilani Monica Ching. Hi, baby.
Monica, do you need to unmute yourself? Are you unmuted? We can't hear you.
I'm muted, but I can't hear her. We can't hear you.
Yeah, no, we can't hear you.
Might need to turn the volume up on your computer.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, she said give us 1 second.
That's
all right.
Okay. Let's try someone. Our next guest.
I'm going to Kino Carson, my brother.
Well, what's up? Good afternoon or good evening.
What's up, my man?
Oh man, bless. So check this out. So when you talk about street soldiers, so I was in high school, Fremont High School in Oakland, Cali. So I'm sitting in my bed downstairs in the den, right? You know, because that's where you want to be, away from everybody else. So I'm sitting downstairs and I'm just sitting on my bed. And the thing about street soldiers is we a church family in the house. So we go to church, but I wanted to hear something more real. So my preaching and my motivation was that street soldiers peak, because in the 90s, in the early 90s, wrong seemed to be right. So I needed to feel somebody having my back, or make a feeling of like I wasn't alone, because the things that I was doing, like going to class and being on time, being respectful, being polite, those things didn't seem to be as popular in the hood. So street soldiers was my motivating factor. I'll be sitting in the bed like, word, finally, somebody said something. I remember like making my facial expressions, bruh. That's what I'm talking about. You ever be like, that's what I'm talking about? So that's what I would do when I first, and so on Monday morning, when I jumped on the 40L to head to the schoolhouse, I had this motivation factor. So a lot of people, it was church during the day, but for me, I look forward to that. And when I first heard it, I was like, hey, bruh, real though. He real though, but you couldn't really have that conversation with everybody. So from there, I was sold, and I was taking the advice and I was using it like I do to this day. And even though people may not understand it, I knew that there was somebody else that also was feeling it was a group. So I was like, I was a silent hustler. Like, yeah. And I would say some of the things that was said on the show to my teachers, and they'd be eating it up. Like, yeah. I'd be like, yeah, I made that up too. From Street Soldiers. So that was me.
Thanks, Kino. Thanks, Kino. Leilani, you working yet? You're muted, huh?
Yes.
I got you. There you are.
Yeah, working. Woo woo. Okay, can you
All
just
right, baby.
can you turn
Your
on
opening statement about the Street Soldiers Radio.
what I think about the radio show when I first heard it?
Yeah.
First of all, I just want to say hi to all my family. I haven't seen some of y'all so long. So 28 years ago, is that when it first got on, right?
Yep.
28 years ago is when I had my son, Roro, who is all over here, by the way. So I'm going to make sure that they come over here and say hi. The first thing that I heard on the radio, I used to get mad because I used to be like, man, they got some marks on that radio. They don't know what they're saying. And I used to try to call, and I used to think sometimes that some of the people that would call, I was like, they don't know what they're talking about. They think that, they really know what's going on or something like that. So, and then there used to be times where people got on the show and I was like, oh, that really resonated. That's for real, because snitching for whatever reason, I know you taught us something different, but I just remember people would get up there and they would talk, and I used to think that some of the callers sounded a little weak, but at the same time, I was in the thick of things and I knew that I wanted a way out. So initially it was something that I just wanted to break through and try to say something else, right? Like, you don't know what you guys are talking about. That advice is not going to work. You guys used to always say, don't do this, don't do that. I'm like, that's just what you guys are saying, but you don't know what it's really, really like in the streets, until I started hearing some real callers. And then eventually we came to the show, and when I got to meet you all, I really clicked with Coach and Miss Norris. And so then I saw that there were actually people that really was from, the streets, and they really knew what was going on. And we had each other to kind of, you guys gave us those words of wisdom. And then there were other people that was in it just like me. And I don't know, you guys just gave us another opportunity, presented all of these ideas that I never even thought about.
Good job, baby, because it led to more. We're going to hear more. Thank you. Great opening. Marquex Boynton. What's up? What's up, Pops?
How's it going, everyone?
Hey.
Shout out to the Mega
looking
family.
Good, brother. You looking good.
Thank you. Shout out to those that are still out there and caught up in it. Mega to me has been a family, a second family to me. That when I first called into the show, I was still out there in it and caught up, and that was the main purpose of the show when I called in. And first I got disconnected. I didn't think I was ever going to get on air, but I was led to just call because I was like at my wits end. I was out there hustling, thugging, just doing the most. And if it wasn't for Omega and the brothers that was on the show to show me like another way, and Doc talking about challenging people that if you called into the show that they'll send you to college. I really didn't believe it until I called in. And then when I did call in, one of the people that I talked to was Zach D, and he was asking one of the questions was like, if you out there hustling and you out there slanging and everything, he was like, so why can't you be a pharmacist? Like, why can't you be, they doing the same thing, but it's legit, it's legal. They selling drugs, and that for me hit home because I was like, well, yeah, that does make sense. Like they're a pharmacist, but I never thought about that until I called into the show. And it wasn't until then that after, talking and hearing about the message of, being out there and still caught up. And then hearing Charles, he was another Omega Brothers who he was out there, dealing with people who was, slanging, but his life story impacted me and made me want to change my life too, after hearing his story about the opposite side of like slanging and hustling and how people's lives is affected, and and what he and the route that he took to reform himself, and by coming to the Omega family meetings, and really being able to express yourself in a way that you're connected with people in the community that's going through the same thing that you're going through, or if worse. It really impacted me to make a difference, because at the end of the story, I ended up going to college.
No, don't tell the end of the story.
Okay.
Save it. Just the beginning of the story.
Okay.
Great job, champ. Great job. Whew, I remember that call. Lord, do I remember that call. GBiz, you're opening. Where's Biz? There he is.
You hear me?
Oh, got you, bro. Good to see you, man. Really good to see you.
How's everybody doing? Good to see you all. Happy belated birthday, Lady Estelle.
Thank you.
Yes.
What's up? How you doing, Bree? And hello.
GBiz, we miss you.
Man, for me, I knew about Street Soldiers before I started working at KML. Certainly had listened to the show a few times growing up, and I was familiar with I'd say the content matter that you all would speak about, but it certainly wasn't until I became a part of the show that I really felt deeply connected to a lot of the things that were discussed on there. I think just being able to share my peace of mind and to kind of openly communicate, especially with you, Doc, almost I think helped me kind of develop that protagonist kind of, wherever you go, let me go ahead and, let me try to bring this other point of view to light around the subject matter, just, to honestly, just to make for some good radio, but really because, I believe there's people out there on each side of every conversation, and I think it's necessary to try to reach everybody in that spectrum, especially when you're talking about serious issues, social issues, and I think the things that Street Soldiers discusses is very important for people to get a well-rounded understanding of all the material that you all give out there. So for me, it was a blessing just to be able to participate in the show every week. And I gained so much just from those times and those hours sitting in that studio with y'all. So many gems and so many precious moments I feel we were able to share together.
Thank you, Biz. Thank you, man.
So good.
Is Jermaine in? Is he in? Do you know?
No.
And
Nope, I don't have him yet.
he's trying to get in. I texted him this thing like 18 times. Okay. Before I get to, you ladies still and Be Serenity, let me just say a couple of things about the show. At its heart, the show was a risk, not just for the station. I remember one of the first complaints of, man, where the music? First thing people called it, where the music? Man, where the music? And they would get to the show and then turn it off because of what? And they complained, man, I want to hear some music. I actually don't know how people went from I want to hear some music to, well, let me listen to this talk. It was at its heart, and it still is, a Stop the Violence show. I mean, it was always a Stop the Violence show. And any issues that impacted life and freedom. That's really what the centerpiece of the show was and still is. In those days, it was literally us telling everybody that who listened, this ain't working. This ain't working. And primarily then it was drugs and people was dying like crazy. You gotta remember, this is 90, 91, 92. I mean, they're like, I think Oakland that year had 275 murders. I mean, everybody's getting shot. We didn't know about the crack. It was terrible. I remember one of my early shows was this group from Vallejo called Romper Room Gang. And I remember the first time he called in, and he was saying, man, what you on the air for, man? I still got a tape of that call, right? What you calling? What you just telling us not to do this? We run the streets, we run Vallejo, we doing this, we doing that. Who are you? We Romper Room now.
Yeah, I remember Romper Room. Romper Room was off the hook back in the day.
Jermaine,
why the hell are you telling everybody on the radio what you doing?
Right, yeah, that's right.
And that was my first insight to, you know, when dudes are in that, they think they're invincible, so they can do anything. You know, I mean, they turn it on to putting in the music, then they turn it on making raps about it, they put it in the social media. But that was my first experience. And I said, dude, what you mean you run this? You run. So when we run this, look, that was, I'll never, ever forget that call, Romper Room. Now, we can get to what happened to Romper Room because it had to happen. There's a whole nother story of that. The second big experience was, I can remember when this Filipino young man shot the Samoan kid. And I think you might remember that, Heather. And the Samoans vowed revenge on his death. And it wasn't the youngster they called, and I think he's no longer with us. It was the elder in the Samoan community called Papa Smurf. He called. So like, this is men talking, right? I ain't talking to some 18, 19, 20-year-old kid. This is a man talking. I said, no, man, we gonna do it. No, and I'm telling the man, don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. Well, he killed my, no, man, don't do it. Don't do it. And I went on and on and on. And that call, and the beauty of the show has always been, we could go with a call as long as it was necessary. I think you know that, Biz. We could go as long as it was necessary. We were never boxed in. And so we would go on, and at the end, he said, well, I don't know. That show, that must have took up most of the show. And in those days on Monday night, it was 4 hours. We went from 10 o'clock to 2 in the morning. And then I would get up, we would get up and go to work the next day and teach the next day. And the background was, sort of Gerald Albright music. So it was like, it was, it was like, it was the theater. It was really, so he called back next week, and then the other ones got on the phone. And eventually, of course, they ended up meeting him, and he didn't do it, and so on and so forth. But, it was like, they thought, like you said, Khalid, and they thought you was crazy. You can't be telling when you out of your mind. You can't be telling people not to sell drugs. You can't tell people not to retaliate. You can't tell people to. And I said, no, man, you're gonna do it. And it was just an incredible experience. We have had. Jermaine, I know you're coming on. I'm gonna get to you. Let me just say some of the people we've had on the show. Some of the topics, things that we talked about. We talked about, oh God, let's see. We've had, well, I won't even do that. I won't do that. Let me get Jermaine. Jermaine, are you on? Jody?
Yes, sir. Yeah, I'm here. I'm here. Yeah.
Thank you.
Hey, glad to be back with the family, man. I miss my family, man. I'm glad to be back with y'all.
Just your opening thoughts about the radio show about Three Soldiers.
Oh man, it was revolutionary. It's revolutionary. It's been that way from day one. And that was one of the things that we always wished that we could do being youngsters in the organizations, like to reach more people. That's one of the things that we always wanted to do, was reach more people, because we always felt like if we could reach more people, then we could help people to have a better understanding, to have a better overstanding of what's really going on. You know what I'm saying? We've always been grassroots from the get-go, always on the front lines, always on the blocks, always on the streets, going up in the juvenile, going up in the schools, going up in the churches. Y'all made that possible for all of us to do. And that's what we wanted, to be able to reach more people. And the blessing is that we've had so many folks join the organization from us being able to do that. And I mean, I still go up in the juvenile to this day. And I remember Omega, and and so it's revolutionary, it's beautiful, and that's what we supposed to be doing, and that's what we need to do. That's what we've always been doing, to make sure that people get the message. And we ain't always been able to reach everybody, anything like that, but we always try to do as much as we can and work with what we got. And it's just a beautiful thing for it to continue. The legacy is continuing. It's not just an organization. It's not just an agency. It's not just a nonprofit. This is a legacy. This is a legacy of life. This is a legacy of heritage. This is a legacy of culture and tradition. And oh man, yeah, it's so awesome. And I wish more people would see it like that and want to be a part of it like that, because it takes all of us. It's not one person that can do this work. It's not just a couple people that can do this work. It's truly a team. It's truly a village. And without all of us being together and working towards the same goal, it's not gonna work. So I'm thankful. I'm so thankful, because y'all helped save my life, and I'm just trying to give back to the community what y'all are giving to me. So thank you so much.
Man, you said the way you said we wanted to reach more people, and the radio show was the way for us to take it beyond the neighborhood house.
Straight up, yes.
And like I said, to say this to everybody, and it was a miracle. It was a miracle, and it still continues. Thank you for that opening. Let me get to Lady Estelle and Ann and Malcolm and Bree. Your statements, opening statements about the show. So
good evening, everybody. It's so wonderful to see you. Oh my goodness. And I want to say to Jermaine, Venus was saying, speak, Jermaine. Corey's in the chat, Erica and Patrick. Oh my goodness. So you got people out here just saying, all right now. Anyway, it's so wonderful to see all of you. Leilani, you're absolutely beautiful. Heather, I love you dearly. Kino, oh my goodness, it's so great to see you. And Khalid, GBiz, Jermaine. So I made my debut on Street Soldiers in 2002. I don't know how that happened. I don't know how I ended up on Street Soldiers. I was a nervous wreck. I thought, there's so many people listening. Oh my goodness, what am I gonna say? With Dr. Marshall and Miss Norris, and it was just a fun, amazing time, but it was challenging, and they were relentless when it came to saving people's lives, let you know what's right, what's not, what's gonna work, what's not gonna work. They were relentless. And then the day came where it was just me. You know, Miss Norris went to work on her PhD, and I came on with Dr. Marshall, but it was just Dr. Marshall. And I would say stuff, and the callers were used to Miss Norris. So they were saying, who is that lady? Because they knew Miss Norris, but they didn't know me. And so, you know, I had something to say, and then I come back the next Sunday and say, well, that lady last time said. And so we come back one Sunday, and Dr. Marshall, as always, he introduced everybody. No, he introduced himself, and we had to introduce ourselves. And so when it was my turn, you know, I was about sick of hearing that lady. So I said, when it was my turn, Dr. Marshall said, and so tell them who you are. I said, who's that lady? Who's that lady? My name is Miss Estelle. And Dr. Marshall said, right. Well, that's what we're going to call you. We're going to call you Lady Estelle. So that's how it really started.
Thank you, man. Thank you. And I want to throw something in later I got something else to add to you in particular. Be Serenity.
Oh Lord.
All right. Well, yeah, I was an intern for KMEL, and before I was an intern, I've already like, listened to the show, but I was like, you know, 16 when I like first listened, and I started interning when I was 19, and I told my supervisor, I was like, I want to get on Street Soldiers. Like, I like, conversations, like that's what I really want to get into. And he took me there to the first day, and Doc did his, normal thing that he does to every person that comes on the show. A million people are listening to you, so you better not mess up and da da da. And I'm like, what? I'm not speaking on air. What? But no, he got me talking, and then from then on, I just came, and like something just called me just to come to you guys. And I realized that it was more than just a radio show. It was more so like a family dynamic thing. And I was going through a lot during that time. I was in school full time, and I was interning. I was in this unhealthy relationship and dealing with a lot of, insecurities and stuff. I was just going through a lot. And Miss Estelle and Doc and Malcolm, everybody, and was just like, just there for support. And it just felt good that when I graduated from, from SF State, it felt like I had to give half of that reward to you guys, because you guys were literally there through that whole process of me like becoming who I wanted to be. So yeah, I have a lot of memories with you guys, and it kind of feels crazy that I've been with you guys for 8 years. It feels like since yesterday.
I'm gonna let you share those memories as we go forward. So you there?
I don't think he's here.
I told him, but not to go nowhere. Okay. Listen, I said Biz has got to go in a minute, but let me just say a couple things. Like I said, the show started in '92, and Ms. Norris was my co-host from 1992 until 2005, and that's when Miss Estelle stepped in. She had been on the show before, but as the permanent co-host, she stepped in 2005, and she brought something with her that was completely new, that has been a staple of the show, and that's her Consider This. And that's been, Lady Estelle, I don't know if you know this, but you've been now on the air 15 years. So you've actually gone longer than Ms. Norris. So most people don't even remember, unless you've been on the show a long time, they don't remember her. But to have two wonderful co-hosts.
Actually, it was 2004.
Okay.
That's all right.
Okay. Then I better go back and change my records.
Change your records, baby. It's
2004. All right. Thank you. I should have known I was going to get corrected.
That's right. That's my...
Malcolm became the producer in 2004. My son became a producer in 2004. We have had a number of voices on the show. Additionally to us, the early third person in the booth was Coach Wilbur Jiggets. And Coach would go, he was like the elder, wise elder to balance me and Miss Norris. He was great. But Kareem Urban has been a third voice on the show. Andre Akins has been a third voice on the show. Demetra has been a third voice on the show. And Serenity has been a third voice on the show. So while we've always had two main people, we've had voices on the show just about the entire history. Our board operators, and I did this because business got to go. I actually made a list of our board operators, and I don't even know if this is complete. Kevin Nash was first, and I tried to
about
Kevin Nash first.
Yeah.
The Love Zone, Kevin Nash. And then there were names that only people at the station would know. Ephraim. I don't know if anybody remembers Ephraim.
Oh yeah, I remember Ephraim.
Yep.
Ephraim. Yep. Rosary.
Yep.
Rosary, hot chocolate.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's right. Rest in peace, brother. We love you.
R.I.P. Chocolate, man. King of
Keenan,
Pizza.
Keenan Frost King, Keenan.
Oh yeah, Keenan. KML history right here.
I got this. Of course, in DC.
Yes.
I don't know him.
GBiz.
I remember DC.
Yeah.
Larry Dorsey. And because you got to go GBiz, we could not have done any of this. We've had our board operators have been fabulous. I mean, and I don't rate them, you know, because you can't do that because you're gonna make somebody mad because they're all family.
Right.
But when the thing is, when we lost somebody, moved on, the next person we got, I don't know, God must have been looking out for us, because they sent us somebody that would keep the level of the show at what it, you know, at what it is, the seriousness of the show. Because you know, some people, I will say this, not all of them understood it was a job to them, but you know, you were just, I mean, you were great, man. When DC left and you came in, it was, and your personality was just, on the show was just marvelous. We do take credit for the fact that all of our board operators have moved on up to greater things. And to see, particularly with both you and DC, move into the leading roles that you have, you know, at the station, is just been incredible. I know you got to go, man, but just thank you, man. Is there a special moment for you that you remember on the show? Any particular topic, anything that you want to just highlight before you take off?
You know, I really appreciate, like I said earlier, all the conversations that we had, you know. And like you said, Doc, yes, you know, we not gonna say that you know, Street Soldiers breeds the cream of the crop over there at the station, but you know, history speaks for itself, right? History speaks for itself. But you know, when I sit and I think about all the shows that we had and the conversations that we had, one that always seems to pop back into my mind is the conversation that we had around Thanksgiving, and things to be thankful for. And you know, it was I felt like, at least for one of those years for sure, it was something that I used selfishly for my own healing, truthfully. You know, the very first show I had with you all, I felt like I was very vulnerable and open with you guys, just around the relationship that I had with my mother. And I don't exactly remember how it kind of tied into the conversation, but it certainly did. And you know, after losing my mom some years ago, the holidays have been a little difficult, a little harder, you know, because it's not the same that it was when you were growing up, you know. And as we continue to get older, we lose these people in our lives that have helped shape us in so much and in so many ways. And so when you think about these times, like the holidays, it brings up times of good memories and cheer, but a lot of times it also can bring up a lot of sadness, because it'll make you, you know, miss those who aren't here anymore. And I remember the conversation that we had, and so much much of it kind of based around just family and the importance of focusing almost kind of your thanks onto these things that we have. And in that conversation, I really was appreciative, I think, of not only, you know, my immediate family that are still here with me, who I am able to celebrate the holidays with, but I was thankful for all of you, everybody in the studio, and the conversation, because it helped curb and ease that pain just a little bit more. And you know, just I think being able to feel comfortable and, like I said previously, being vulnerable in that space with you all was very helpful to me in so many ways. just in my own personal growth as a man. And I really, man, I couldn't thank you enough for all of the help, lessons, you know, education that I was able to receive coming in there and sitting down with you all every week. You know, I truthfully feel like, you know, street soldiers opened their arms to me as a family member, and for that I am forever indebted. You know, you all were some of the first people at the radio station to truly be welcoming in a lot of ways, and you know, certainly some of the first ones to sit there and be like, okay, this kid's got something. You know, usually
and you did.
Man, you know, but you know, you sit there, you knocking on the door for so long, like, hey man, let me in. I know y'all need something. Y'all need somebody in there. You need somebody to clean the floors. You need somebody to wash the dishes. I'll do all that, man. Just let me inside. And I
want to thank you for one other thing, and I think I've held you over time, but we have had 6 Street Soldiers theme songs, 4 by Herm Lewis, 1 by Brennus Powell, and so you want to stay alive and free. I mean, man, just, man,
smooth cut, brother.
Can we play that now? I mean, thank
smooth
you,
cut.
That song, I swear, you know, just thank you.
Hey, you know, I keep on saying that we got to do one more for you. We got to do a new one for you. But of course, you know, the pandemic.
I tell you what.
Hey, when we get back on, you do that vaccine version.
Video, we're gonna do it.
Okay, I got you. And I gotta shout out my brother Mark Antone, who, you know, put that whole thing together, did the vocals on that. And of course, you know, I was giving him the conversation underneath, but you know, it really was because of my guy, man, and my guy Mark Thomas again. You know, we put that thing together. Who just got married, actually just about a month ago. So congratulations to him and his new wife, man. And you know, beautiful seeing people continue on with their life and growing.
Thank you, man, for joining us tonight. I know you gotta go. Love you, brother. See you soon. We'll be back in the studio, and we'll get the new one made. All right. Stay safe,
all right, big brother.
Appreciate
y'all.
Stay
safe, man.
Love y'all. Have a great night.
You got it. You got it.
We need 28 more,
Doc. Some of the topics I'm gonna go to I know Sweetness. I call her Sweetness. Anne Marie is way down, so I want to tell her, let her. And as I go through these moments, I'm setting you up for a moment that you remember. So I'm gonna put, just in my mind, I started writing things. Tupac and Jada Pinkett. Tupac died. And it's hard for me to explain to young people today what a big deal that was when Pac and Biggie died back in '96. I mean, the people thought the rap world was gonna end. And to have Jada Pinkett come on that night was huge and talk to us. Here's one, Mr. C's death on New Year's Eve. Jermaine might remember that. I remember that because that was the first grieving mother I ever talked to on the phone. New Year's Eve.
I remember that.
And I talked to her, and it was tough talking to a mom whose son had just been shot. Oh God, Lavelle Mixon. Anybody remember the Lavelle Mixon conversation? The brother that shot all the cops.
I'll never forget that night.
He shouldn't be shooting. You remember that one? So he shouldn't be talking. He shouldn't be shooting cops.
Look,
that was a tough one.
I'll never forget that one, Doc.
Yeah, Mike Gibson at the Million Man March.
Oh yeah.
I did the show from Japan, Israel, on the phone, and from the Oprah Winfrey show on Sunday night, the night before I went on Monday night on the show on Monday. The spoken word shows, the location shows from Richmond High, Castlemont, YGC.
That's from Juvenile Hall.
Juvenile Hall.
Juvenile Hall.
Taking the show from San Quentin.
Yep.
The years and simulcast with the beat in LA. I got more here, but is there a moment for you? And Leilani, I'd like you to talk about what happened as a result of you meeting us on Street Soldiers, and Anne-Marie, what happened with you, and Marcus, what happened with you as a result of your meeting us on the air. So why don't we start with you, Anne-Marie?
Oh man, those are some memories. 1996, my daughter was born, and Tupac, I remember that. I guess after meeting you guys, Miss Nora's never let me go, you know? I called in and she was just always checking on me, and I was like, why is she doing this? This isn't her job. She's not getting paid. And that was amazing to me, because at that point I was like, nobody really cares. So I didn't care about myself, and I was out there just doing all kinds of things, not caring, not living at home, just doing whatever I wanted. And just her showing that she had cared and just always reaching out. I remember she had sent me a card one year. No one had really sent me a card that had a whole bunch of writing in it, not just a card that had a message. It was actual writing. And I still have that card because it meant that much to me at that time. Just somebody showing that they cared was such a big deal for me at that point in my life, that it really helped. I guess somebody caring about me showed that I should care about myself. And so that's really why it was really pivotal for me in my life. I had my daughter. I did graduate high school. I actually didn't even think I was going to graduate high school. I had my daughter when I was a teenager, and I went on to college. I got my master's, and I feel like it all started with just somebody showing that they cared, so I should care. So that's how it impacted my life. And it showed me that I can get through things, and just to keep pushing forward even when you think that things are hopeless.
And that's the perfect example of a call to that show can change your life. Just a call to that show.
I didn't even know it was going to turn into that. Like I was a kid. I think I was in my teens, like early teens. So it was just, it was amazing.
You came into the Omega family, became one. I remember, going off to college. I remember the conversations we had, and you were one of our 250 college graduates, all because of the call to the show. Right?
Wasn't even a thought in my mind, but it happened. And just, it goes to show, just single moments, how much they can affect you, and just one person caring, how much that can affect you. So
we had lost you, so I'm glad that Anne found you. It's glad that you look wonderful.
Thank you.
By the way, Mrs. Stell, her nickname was Sweetness. That's what we called her.
I know. It was like
I like it.
I was telling Anne, I'm like, he's probably not going to know my name because he always calls me Sweetness. So he's probably just going to know my real name.
That's sweet. I like it.
What are you doing now? Tell everybody what you're doing now, because you're living in...
I live in Houston right now, and I'm working at Cisco. I'm remote, but I work in tech, and I just bought a house in Houston, so I'm really excited about that. And
congratulations.
I'm just getting used to hurricanes.
Congratulations.
I'm not really
for real,
used to weather. So I'm trying to learn every time there's a storm, I'm getting scared and trying to figure out what to do.
They have storm shelters. You got that. Hey, listen, they've got places where you can go. You just stay ahead of it as much as you can.
I like earthquakes where you have no warnings. So you don't have that anxiety to build. Here, they're just constantly telling you how bad it's going to be, and you just get anxious about it.
And then you're a perfect example. You're a perfect example of, people can get as much out of us as they want, right? They can get, a call, they can get some advice, we do extend the invitation. We extend it, and we did the same thing with you as we did to both Monica and Mark, or Leilani. I got to get her name right. And Marcus. So Leilani, why don't you talk about your continuing involvement with us after your calls? Can she hear us?
Yes, Leilani, he just called on you. I know, right after you finished.
I know. I was actually, and the first time I was gonna leave was when the first time he called my name, I was just like, let me take the laptop and go check on the grandbabies and all the other kids in the other room. Yeah, man, it's so good to hear from Anne-Marie and everybody else. So the question was, what did we do after the show? What did the show do to us?
What did it lead to?
Oh my God. Well, and for some people who don't believe into the moons and the astrology, I have to say, like, I am a Gemini to the T. And I only use that as an example because I honestly feel like I'm 100%, 2000% a different person. I know that the woman that you see today, or you hear, and how I project myself is absolutely people didn't even think I was going to make it past 19. I literally had a life contract, a street contract out on me at 19. So I know there's no way in heaven I would probably be here in front of the cameras and speaking to you and doing everything that I had. So where it led me to love myself. Could you close that for a second? It led me to extend my family. It led me to appreciate and purge those who shouldn't be around me. It led me to freedom, essentially. It led me to not only freedom as we know it in terms of not being locked up. I mean, there was a time I wasn't even afraid to go to jail. I mean, I would go in and out to jail. I didn't care. Like, my mentality was so infected and sick. The way that I lived, I couldn't walk anywhere without feeling like I had a form of protection. I had to carry guns. I had to carry a razor in my mouth. I always felt, hearing myself now, and just like, how do people live like that? I literally felt and lived my life as if, any day I can die. So it's either going to be me or whoever comes to me, And the other thing is that what it led me to is not only purging and having another perspective of life and appreciating my life, but appreciating others. I also was able to appreciate what is around me and who is around me and who is feeding me information that generally cared. Like Anne-Marie said, when someone actually really cared about me, I was able to see that those that do care about me really do. I didn't even know how to accept that before. I was one of those kids that didn't even hug my mama, so to, it led me to be mentored. It led me to listen to people. And so where am I today? Well, I'm a proud mother of 3. My middle child just made 18 today. And when I was working, just to go down memory lane, I was pregnant when I started working with y'all, right? I'm an alumni. I went through the program, but I also started working there. So that's why I know a lot of people. Hey, puppy. And so come here, Gary, you came on perfect timing. When I was pregnant with Gary, then I had him say, hi, Gary. This is little Roro right here, Astro.
Oh my goodness.
Say hi, Dada. So little Gary, I had little Gary, and when he was a month old, then I came back to work, right, Dr. Marshall? And Lady Estelle, you eventually start coming around that time a little bit later on.
Yes.
And the whole classroom, our office was a classroom, right? And so the whole classroom was a nursery because little Gary used to be in there. I would go back and forth. I'd go to school and then work over there as street soldiers. So what it also led, here goes the other son. Where's Roro? Tell him to come over here and say what's up.
Bro.
3 healthy children that 3 young men that would never have that lifestyle. I don't have to worry about them going to jail. You guys want to say hi? And then I got my granddaughter here. I wouldn't have this, right? Like Roro is married. Okay, so this is my other granddaughter, Riri. Say hi, Riri.
Oh my goodness.
So, I mean, this is love. And the more you know, the more you owe. So now I have information to share to them, and they carry on the torch. So, and then career-wise, not only did I get educated, I have a business major. Now, I couldn't even articulate this before. Every other word was a cuss word, or I was just quiet and I didn't even know how to express myself. It was either fight or flight, or it was just silent and, you know, violence. Now I'm a transportation manager for a local public transportation agency in the Bay Area, AC Transit. I have other little things that entrepreneur site, like that mind site.
Right, other things that you got to get through you. Those gifts has got to come through. That's right.
No, again, it was the call, and we tell people you can actually. I think people were surprised that you could actually meet the voices on the air, right? And they say, you mean we can meet you? You have a program you can come to, and anybody can come. You came. Anne-Marie came. Marcus came, and all three of you are three of the 250 college graduates. So, you know, alive and free and educated. But the fact that when you said, you know, if you didn't tell people your story, people wouldn't ever believe, right? You know, and that's what I say. You know, a lot of times people ask me, how do you know people change? How can you tell if somebody changed? Well, you really can't. But if you can talk to somebody and when you find out how they used to be, and it's inconceivable that they could be that way, they probably really changed.
That's right. Yep.
And you have been just, you know, I love you, girl. I love you, girl. Thank you. Thank you for the call.
I love you too. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Whew, Lord, I'm gonna need 2 hours more for the show, but I ain't got it. So hang on, let me move on to my next one. Marcus. All right, you left us off with, and Marcus, let me fill in the story. Marcus, when we met, you was, I remember, look, let me tell you. I said, call the office. Call. And you actually called. You know how many people say call on that show and they don't ever call? You actually called.
Yeah.
And then you said, and you showed up.
Yay.
You came from Vallejo and you showed up. And that began
you picked me up too. And dropped me off.
Yeah, that's right.
Marcus had braids, he had long braids, he was sagging, he was like, and, you know, the street had completely taken over. His mother cried in front of me. I'll never forget this. Help me save my son. And man, your story is legendary. And Jermaine and everybody listening, what was the thing about Marcus? Marcus was always a good kid, and he got infected by the music.
Yeah. You think the COVID-19 is real, the hood disease is real. Woo!
You got infected by listening
to
you was where when you was going back to school, and you know, you came in, and eventually the real Marcus came to fore. And you know, where did you go to college? I said we're gonna send you to college. Say where you went.
You sent me we ended up going to the Virgin Islands, Mexico, and Florida for the master's degree. So I ended up going to the Virgin Islands and St. Thomas, St. Croix in Puerto Rico, and ended up finishing my 4-year degree there. Spent some time overseas through Omega. Went to Mexico. Spent about 2 years there learning Spanish. Entonces hablo español fluente también.
That's right.
Yeah. Most people think once a black man speaks Spanish, you either Dominican, Cuban, or Puerto Rican, or Jamaican. But now I tell them I'm all 100% Vallejo, Californian. You know what I mean? So from the Bay Area, and it's possible, you know. So those Spanish classes is real. But it wasn't until I got to Omega and, Jack Jacquard and Coach and the coachisms that was real talk, and the family meetings was real talk, because it wasn't until then that I didn't really understand like the Alive or Free movement until I was in those classes, and it wasn't because of those classes that set me with the real way of living, which was to be alive and free, you know, because I was well on my way to the having a gravestone or locked up, and that was the only two options that I had, and I was teetering on the fence, you know, left and right, whether or not, you know, I was going to end up locked up or dead in jail. And the only other avenue for my freedom at that point was the Omega Boys Club.
Tell people what you're doing now. You a bitch.
So now, like, you know, after all of that, now I work at Apple. And so I'm a logistics specialist. I'm a manager out here in Sacramento, and
yes sir,
I managed up to like 450 people. So who would have thought that the same person with that credibility on the street and being able to do what I do now could turn that into business and really make an impact in the community in a positive way.
Yeah, Marcus. I'm telling you, man, what if we hadn't been on the air? What if you hadn't made that phone call? And I remember I was praying, man, don't let, please. The topic that night was been there, done that, haven't been doing in 10, but still caught up in it.
Still caught up in it.
And you called and said, I'm still caught up in it.
I'm still in it.
I said, I could bring you from death to life. Now, you don't be saying crazy stuff like that.
Yeah, I didn't believe it. I didn't believe it. This man I said him, Jack, Coach, Mrs. Still, all of them local. They all crazy. I was like, they can't nobody bring nobody from death to life. And it wasn't until I met the Omega family and Jermaine and Andre Akins and, you know, and Coach and everyone and Leilani wasn't until then that I met my brethren and my sisters and my extended family that really brought me home to being okay with myself.
That's right.
Being the real you, the prince that your mother had raised you to be.
Right. Not this not the bald-headed one that you see before you today had dreads. Man, I was shaking them. I was out there, man. From Vallejo, it was real. You know, I lost a little brother to the streets, you know, and I lost many people to the streets.
That phone call. I remember that phone call.
Yeah.
That was painful for you. Listen, those were 3 people that we actually extended the lifeline to that said, hey, you can meet us. But there are thousands of people that, you know, that we just put the message out on Tuesday, put the word out. And I want to go back to Khalid, but
Corey,
let me just
Cole, yeah.
You know, I'll get him in. Boy, this is going by fast. Let's go need more time. Look, some of more of the highlights that's for me. We got a guy listening from Cape Town right now. I remember going down there and doing Street Soldiers on a radio station in Cape Town. I remember being in Nigeria and being on Nigerian radio and talking these same topics there. Of course, we have our Black History Month shows, our Women's History Month shows, our town hall shows. I went and visited Tookie Williams in prison and actually got Tookie Williams recorded messages and played them on Street Soldiers about staying out of gangs. We've done shows on immigration in DACA, on mental health, on domestic violence and human trafficking, on gang violence. We didn't do political shows until 2008. And you know why we did political shows then? The election of Barack Obama. Black music shows, Black Month. We actually featured, we don't generally feature artists, but we did the music of Kanye West before he became this other guy. We did, and I fell in love with Kendrick Lamar. We did when his album came out, we did a show. One night we had an old school hip hop show. And we just played old school hip hop during Black Music Month. And Lady Estelle's famous show is the lyrics and music. We would actually download the lyrics and read them over the air. That was one of her best moments because I found that the people listened to the beat and liked the song, but they didn't know the words. So we would actually download the actual words and Lady Estelle read them, and that in itself was, B. Serenity knows, that was really something. We did shows on movies.
My favorite.
Black Panther, Hidden Figures, the movie Brown Sugar. Anybody remember that movie? We did Idlewild. We did Antoine Fisher. We had shows on social media, cyber bullying, our Mother's Day and Father's Day shows, hazing. We've done all that stuff, and all kinds of guests. Khalid, you, man, you came to the show and I'm gonna mention one name for you. That's a highlight of the show for me because it brought me the show brought me closer to a town. Terrence Kelly.
Right.
Terrence TK Kelly.
Right.
Yeah, I had been involved with Richmond, but when TK died, I really got involved with Richmond. And it was because of you. It was through you I met Mac Dre, and that's a whole nother story. I get to that later on. After he got out of jail.
Right. Right.
But TK to this day is probably the toughest moment I've had on the air. You know, and you introduced me. I remember you got me to speak at the funeral. But just you and everything that you embodied with Richmond, if you want to just share a little bit about that, meeting your brother. Go ahead. And this all happened because of the radio show. And you were right. I bet you when you were sitting in prison, you damn near thought, who is this fool? He telling people not to snitch.
and it was just, I was listening to it because violence is everywhere, and it's no violence more violent than the next violence. But inside of our small town in Richmond, I thought that was the most violentest place on the planet, and I specialized in it, and I didn't see me ever stopping it because I had already surrendered to the darkness of the streets, and I'm listening to you. And I just listened and listened and listened. And I eventually got out of prison, and it didn't matter to me what was going on with that. But one day, you know, I started coaching. I always was big on my word. If I'm gonna say I'm gonna do it, then it's gonna be done, you know, whatever it is. And if I say I'm not gonna do it, then I'm not going. I started coaching football, and I didn't want to be, I was still sick and didn't know it. I figured, well, I haven't shot nobody this year, or haven't had no guns, or I haven't been advocating violence to nobody to do violent acts, so I'm good. But I didn't know I was sick, and I was coaching football and winning championships with these youngsters, and I wanted to start raising money, and I walked into your office. And I said, you know, Jaleel hooked me up with you. He said, we're going to Dr. Marshall. And I was like, oh, nah. That dude's sick, man. I don't want to talk to him, man. But you know, he talking about snitch, don't snitch, and this and that. But I walked into the office, and that day changed my life because I asked you. I never knew you or nothing. All I knew is I heard you on the radio, and I asked you, would you MC the event that me and my brother was throwing at the Richmond Auditorium? And you said yes. I don't know what made you say yes. I don't know. It shocked me, and you just did. And then you came, and when you did that. That's when it started. And TK hadn't been killed yet. It was the next year or two. And you just stuck with me. But what happened, you just said, hey, you seen what we was doing. And you said, hey, man, you invited me down. And I came and come in there. I never seen so many, you know, I'm not prejudiced on them, but it was mostly our people. I seen Black people sitting down, becoming, I knew in 4 years they was gonna be major. I knew it was going to be doctors. I knew it was going to be lawyers, and I had never seen that in my life. And I said, wow, this man, the concentration that the students had, it was incredible. I have never seen that. And so I surrendered. But it took a little minute, and what it did to me is matured me to where I started respecting myself, and I appreciated myself. And I seen that I became morally wealthy and mentally rich. The things that came to my mind started being on a whole nother level. Money wasn't I had learned that there's more things more valuable, that nothing was more valuable to a human life. And that's what made me start seeing the difference, that a human being was more important than anything. And I never got that information. And through the loss of my brother, Terrence Kelly was the first time that I was tested, but through the loss of my brother, it came back again to where it's, you know, well, we just got to do what we normally do. And I came and sat down inside there and I listened to them young people again and was motivated. And I told myself, if I feel like I feel going in when I come out, then on the way home, I'm just going to go on through. I don't know who did this to my brother, but I'm just going to to the last person that I was mad at, to the last person that I know that's no good, to the last person I know that been doing acts of violence for no reason, I'm going to play with them. And I mean, before I left out of there, I was in there from 7 to 10. That was the most, I never felt like that in my life. So I told everybody about that, including my children, including I sent at least 4 or 5 brothers through there to get bachelor degrees. I tell everybody about it because for me, it changed my life. Because I was a threat. I was dangerous to myself. I was a disrespect to my parents because I wasn't taught this. I learned how to be bad, and I felt bad about being good. But that brother right there changed my life. He helped me change my life, and I'm just amazed at it. And I can't stop being this way. And I feel good about being good, you know.
That's
and
right. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I fight over that. I'll fight for that. I'll fight for being right. That's what I'm into. So it's all because of that. And Terrence Kelly, yes. You know, his story is amazing. We don't got that much time, but I love Omega, man. And it's just so real to me. And I just can't, it let me be vulnerable and open. First time I ever cried in front of anybody, and I didn't even care. I dropped tears inside there going over my life. I thought I was going to get arrested after I got finished telling everything about my life. And when them cuffs didn't come on me and they didn't turn me into nobody and start really trying to help me, I said, oh man, let's go all the way. These people for real. I said, they didn't trick me. I opened up and it felt so good, man. I cried right there in front of them good people. And here I go today.
Right. Thank you, Led. Kino, long wait, a lot of voices tonight. You've been on the show several times with maybe, I think, the best program in the Bay. I want to talk about your businesses. Kino still there? Is he still there?
Yeah, I'm here.
I'm sorry, brother. There's so much. I can't squeeze all this in. This is amazing. This is amazing. Go ahead.
Man, first of all, it's definitely been a privilege and a pleasure. So mine's come full circle because I went to school and I was listening as a young high school dude, and I finally felt like there was somebody who was basically, for lack of better words, on my side in an area where, like, you know, during those times in the 90s, early 90s, you know, it was real out here in Oakland. It was no joke. Teenage pregnancy through the roof, high school dropouts. And so I got away with, you know, I Fremont at that time, we was like state champions. So I was getting that kind of love. But what stood out for me the most, when I came back and wanted to give back, we linked up I believe it was your brother who we kind of originally linked up. And then I'm like, yeah, I know Dr. Marshall. I know he cool, he's straight. And I think what everybody has in common is that Doc, you know, you invited me, we did a stepping at a conference. It was like years ago. I had kids years ago. And you showed up. And I'll never forget, and I think it was said earlier, you know, the more you owe, the more you owe. And I think that's a t-shirt. We need to go ahead and get that. And so you showed up, and so I started learning, and then I would be another place, and then you'd be there. Like, he really, I mean, I knew he was real. He real, like, you know, I know he cool, though, bruh, cool, but no, he real. And so being a school site principal for 20 years in the Oakland Unified and abroad, and I started Urban Heat as the CEO, and we started doing things that was real. Like, we're taking kids to the East Coast, we're having step shows, we're doing things, I mean, real, like, not the political stuff. And a lot of times, being in these positions, I sometimes have to be extremely careful because I'm real. And that's not acceptable in in mainstream society. So being the founder and CEO of Urban Heat Academy, kids from our programs joined the Omega, Live and Free. Many of them went off to college, and it was just a blessing to be able to say that there's somebody else that's feeling you, that knows the real. And so, I'll be sitting in meetings, and sometimes as an educator, we meet about the meeting, It's just a whole bunch of nonsense. And so, like, it was very difficult for me to be humble, but it was always good to be able to have somebody who I know is in the fight with me, who may be across the bridge, but we're in the fight. So when you brought me in on the show the first time years ago, I felt like, dang, man, I would love to hang out with that crew real. They talk about what's going on in my mind, but I gotta be careful and strategic about how I present that to others, because some of the people who look like me may turn away like, bro, you on that book, right? You on that, and then other people may feel intimidated because you may know a little bit more. So because of you now, Urban Heat Academy is like, we have our own resource center in the Stockton area. We've been doing step show conferences. We've sent at least over 100 kids off to college. Many have become, I want to say about 70% have become members of Greek organization. They call me talking all that, you brag, all that stuff. Scholarship opportunities. We got the toy drive coming up in Stockton. We're taking kids to the East Coast from the Bay Area, from the California area, so they can see the culture, so they can understand, not the boring college tour that they go to, where you got to sit and look at all them little big old school buildings. And that's the kind of conversation I have with kids. Like, it's more to college than just what you've been seeing on, or you've been hearing. And then even if you don't want to go to college, let me prepare you for that. So because of, I remember coming off the show, walking through the hallway, and about 100 kids at the high school was like, Carson, we heard you last night, bruh. You was and all this stuff. And it was a good buy-in, and it was a good move for me to be able to start making some moves that I otherwise wouldn't have been able to do had I not had, I hate to say, but that stage, I want to say, like this I'm doing. And then unfortunately, the reality is people kind of jumped on a bandwagon, but however you jump on board, once you roll with this train, we rolling in the right direction, and we have to make some change. And because of you, Doc, and just being there, I learned how to be there. I learned how to show up. I learned how to drive I learned how to walk up to the doors. I mean, we ain't never been scared. So, but I didn't want to, it's against the rules. I started putting what was right in front of the rules. And so that often, sometimes a blessing, and sometimes it don't go over too well. But I think I did what was right. And I remember you being back in the days, just being real about it and being very, outspoken about it. And it wasn't well accepted initially at first. And I was like, man, are we on something? And so as a younger guy coming up, I was like, dang, I'm nervous, but I stood out on faith. And from there, it's been a blessing. And now I'm helping people. I mean, I'm getting things. I just can't even, I can't even explain the blessing that I am, and how many, emails I get a day. And now I'm speaking to principals and superintendents. I'm the keynote speaker talking about understanding the effects of poverty and education, research I did years ago. Now calling me. The book is almost done. It ain't, I gotta edit a few things. I noticed there's some I put in there. I don't want to cite no names. You feel me? I love my life. So I keep it 100, but those things I inspired. And last but not least, before I'm off, or before I stop, this is the more it resonates, the more you know, the more you owe. And so many people know stuff, and yet they don't want to take no time to give back.
Yep.
No time to put your money where your mouth is. And it's just it becomes this, I don't know, it's hard to make change. So I love the fact that you're a change agent, man. And from there, I've been all gas and no brakes. I'm still rolling right now. Call me.
That's right.
Thank you, man.
That's right.
This guy jumped on late. I got to give him a moment. Although we are And I don't know, we may have to edit this down. This show is just, we're almost at the end. Let me just say some of the topics that we've done, and I'm gonna bring him on. Social media, and some of these are my favorite topics. Social media, does it control you or do you control it? I love this one. The world is bigger than the block.
Yeah.
Wisdom versus game. What's the difference? I love that one, man. That would be like, what's wisdom? What's game? We get people to thinking. Malcolm came up with this one. How difficult is it to be conscious in an unconscious world? How did we go from kings and queens to pimps and hoes? And how do we find our way back? That's a hell of a topic for a show, huh?
Yeah, hell yeah.
During Black Music Month, I asked one time, if you like the beat, does it matter what the lyrics are? And people would be like, does it? There's conversation. Is there a difference between a mother and a baby mama? And a father and a baby daddy? That was a hell of a show. And this is an old school one. Do you live in a neighborhood or a hood?
Wow.
Before there was a hood, there was a neighborhood. Those are some of the topics.
That's right. Yeah.
Okay, is Corey still there? Is Corey still there?
I am here, man. My little phone acting funny. I'm at my cousin's house. Always on an important night. Something go wrong, right?
Oh God, and Heather, I didn't get back to you either. Oh my God, I got to do both. Corey, and you brought this up. For 3 years, we did the show in Los Angeles. The show was simulcast on the Beat, and we would go down there. 2 weeks we would be at KMEL, and 2 weeks we'd go down to the Beat. And
Doc?
Did he get?
Yeah, what happened? Yeah, something happened. What happened?
Got frozen.
It's his turn to freeze.
So Corey, he was talking about the experience you guys had, how things worked when you went to LA. So tell us a little bit about that.
Oh man, how you doing, Mr. Stell? First off, and all you great people on the show tonight. We would go down. Doc had something set up where we would talk to the gangs, the A-Trade gangsters and the Athens Parks Blood. So we would go talk to the Crips and the Bloods, and then we would do the show from LA. It was just amazing to be down there, and then we talking from LA all the way up to the Bay. It was just a great thing. And we alive and free, old school Omega. We was witnessing the people, getting them to change. Like, in church, they witness the people. They just get you to change. So we was down there doing that great work, and it was just amazing getting in that van going. It seemed like every week, man, just doing the work with Doc. And at the time it was Miss Norris, Dre almost got us killed down there. Talking about Dre told the Crips and the Bloods, man, I don't know why y'all fighting over colors. I said, well, can you wait till we get back to the Bay to say all that stuff? Khalid, they was heated, man. Dre went full-fledged on them down there. But we had some great times, and we've seen a lot of young people change their lives through the work, through the Omega Boys Club, through the Live and Free. So it's true that the message goes, when we go down there, we do some conferences, but it was just amazing. And Mr. Stell, I want to say your voice is built for the radio. I just want to say that no matter how I'm feeling, I hear your voice, I feel like some hope. I'm going to be all right. You know what I mean? So really appreciate that great voice that you have for the radio.
Thank you.
I'm glad I'm back on, Corey. I remember us driving down there. We would drive all night, and we would go to Athens Park, be with the Bloods, and they would meet the Crips in a hotel. And I remember driving down there, and Corey would be like, it's just like in the movies. It looked just like in the movies. The house, it was just like Boys in the Hood. Every time I see what it looks like, because I grew up down there, right? All the curtains was closed, all of that. Yeah. We went to Athens Park. All the dudes had on red, the girls had on red. I mean,
yeah, it was.
But the fact that he said exactly what he would say on the radio and at the club, the same stuff. And I remember going into a little bitty, we had a little bitty TV in a clubhouse in Athens Park, and we showed them Roots. And the whole thing was you can never kill an enemy. And they had never seen nothing like that.
That's right.
And you and Dre would just get up there and say, look, man, you know, I always say Jesus didn't change what he said no matter where he went.
That's right.
No matter where we went, you said the same thing. This ain't working. You may not, and I'm just trying to save your life. So, and going down there and doing with the radio show statewide was unbelievable. Wow,
Hey, we were even trying to shoot a movie, a documentary or something, Doc, at the time, and then it was a lot of stuff going on back there. Jermaine remember all them days, man, and the message, you know what I mean?
Then I met Little Monster and Blown, and I brought him up here and put him on the radio.
Yeah,
so I had the Crips and Bloods in the studio.
Yeah.
And I actually put them in a bed and breakfast, and it didn't blow up. So you know, when you're about saving your people, you do everything. This has been great. We're at the end. It went too far. We're over time. As a lot of people, I need to thank all our guests that we've had over the years, from Dr. Campbell to Dr. Adams, and I can't even get to them. But Heather, I'm sorry I didn't.
Well, usually you close with me. And
I am.
Okay, wait just a minute. So I am going to give my time.
That's right.
To Heather.
Heather. No, I don't want your time. You take your time.
No, baby. No, baby. I'm giving my time to you.
Well, I don't want it. I want your time. No, well, I'll just say quickly, we have been blessed because I was able to do this in West Oakland. I was able to flip a school, literally flip it. Out of our team because of this information. And then we're in East Palo Alto, where I'm really from, and we have 70 kids that have graduated from college, and we have 70 in college. And that's your brother. That's the same.
That's
people.
what's up.
They're all across the nation. They're in Houston, graduates. There's and you know, it is the Bible. I will never forget hearing the information, be like, yes. And as a white person, it reframed me as well. And I was coming in with a white framework, and it allowed me to really kind of put words and actions and be far more effective than I would have ever been. And so I'm just so grateful. But I want really Miss Estelle to go.
No, baby, that was it. We got Miss Demetra from Heather and Christina. So if I were to say anything, I know Dr. Marcy's gonna have the last word. Leilani, your grandbaby is adorable. I just want to wish you, these are the holidays, and we are still in COVID. Just want to wish you blessings, safety, health, well-being, joy, peace, happiness, strength, courage, power, grace, and wisdom to continue doing the work. Use the gifts that you've been given.
That's right.
Thank you for being here. Blessings to each of you. Dr. Marshall, back to you.
Mrs. Stella, I have to say thank you for being my co-host since 2004, since you got it right. 16 years, and you're right. Your voice is magic on the air. You're the only person on the show that when you speak, nobody else, there's a moment of silence. Sometimes what you say is so profound that everybody just stops, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you have this ability to I mean, you have a spiritual quality that, you know, I'm the practical guy, but you're the spiritual person. You have the spiritual quality that just permeates into stuff. And then you have, of course, you have your favorite phrase, listen to me good. And then you go right into, so it's been great to sit beside you all these years and to have, and I will say this, both the male and the female voice on the show, I think is wonderful.
Love you.
And just it's just amazing. I can't imagine, you know, that doing the show without you. So it's just, to my son who's been the producer all these years, thank you very, very, very much. To Ann, when did you start coming in and filming this thing? Because that's a whole other innovation. I haven't even got that.
That's right.
Ann has done an amazing job with the show, filming it. putting it out on social media during that whole thing. She films all the shows in the studio and she puts them out, and she films this. This will be turned into KMEL tomorrow. To be Serenity for being, you know, from more board operator to be our third voice. And I gotta say to KMEL, you know, KMEL. Gotta say it to
sir. Yes, sir.
It's been great. Soul, you there? Is the Soul there? You guys, you're the only one that hasn't said anything. You want to say anything?
Hey, I was just enjoying listening to all my folks. You know, I'm a 1989 original Omega right here. And Street Soldiers from all the way back to just the Voice of Tomorrow days. So it's just, there'll never be anything like Street Soldiers ever.
Right.
Ever. And we know it.
That's
and,
right.
I mean, there'll be talk shows, there'll be people talking about this and that, but one of a kind, yo. One of a kind.
Straight up.
We put it down. And we put it down real hard, and we still putting it down too.
Straight up. Straight up.
Mama Rita says, happy anniversary, Jamila, Layla. Let's see, there was, oh my goodness. Somebody spoke specifically to Jermaine. Anyway, and I
what love.
Yes. Thank all you guys for being with us tonight. You know, the show is pure. It's done for only one reason, and that's to keep you alive and free.
That's it. Yeah, straight up.
That you hear tonight is why we do the show. You know, our job is to, I always say there's three types of young people. The first is a young person who is doing something that he shouldn't be doing, that's doing something destructive and he needs to change. We've heard some of those stories. I think the majority of young people are kind of like I was when I was growing up. A young person who was a good kid, listen to their parents, listen to their teachers, get good grades. But somewhere along the way, I thought there was something wrong with being good. I thought I was a square, a punk, a mark, a buster, and all of that. So then all these ideas came into my head, right? Fortunately, I had people that stopped me. The third type is the young person that we all want all of our young people to be. And Monica, just like Leilani showing your kids, is a young person that feels good about being good.
That's right.
Feels good about being good. And that's all we want. We want young people that feel good about being good. And with that,
well, as we close one more year, I want to say thank you for loving us and thank you for letting us love you.
That's right.
So
that's right.
Keep going.
Amen.
We got, hey, one thing about this show, because violence is worldwide and it's always popping up, we will always need street soldiers. We'll always need the live free. So keep on being ambassadors, you guys. I love all of you. Cole, one day we got a vaccine coming. Maybe we'll be back in the studio.
Get back
together again.
Right.
And Anniverary, thank you for hanging around all the way from Dallas. And I guess that's it. That's it. We gotta say good night, everybody. Love all of you. Thank you for
peace.
One love. One love. One love.
Okay. Good night.
Bye.
One love.
Bye.
Bye.